Hey folks, Walks here from a gloriously sunny south of England. Today is going to be a cracking day. Echo and I are on our old 1990s BMW F650 adventure bike, the one that took me halfway around the world, and we're off to the Cotswolds, which is a beautiful region of southern England where my old mate Mr. Harding lives. And he lives there with his Royal Enfield Himalayan 450 adventure bike. So we're really looking forward to the ride through the Cotswolds, but we're also really looking forward to comparing these two bikes that are very similar, but they've got 30 years separating them. Despite a reputation for drizzle and general climatic poverty, a fine English summer's day is hard to beat, and Echo and I enjoyed a splendid few hours meandering leafy byways and rural lanes through scenes of pastoral magnificence as we wound our way to the heart of the Cotswolds. Once there, Mr. Harding and I took full advantage of the balmy sunny summer's afternoon and headed directly to the local inn. There, we sampled their rather Moorish Timothy Taylor Pale Ale and planned the morrow's activities. The following day dawned bright, with white clouds beautifully contrasting the sky's azure blueness, as Mr. H and I rolled the Himalayan and the F650 from their stable into the courtyard, where, glimmering in the sun, they seemed to be embracing the day with the same enthusiasm as their riders. And despite the BMW's classic status, I feel it shuddered into life with a tad more willingness than the whipper-snapper Royal Enfield. Our ride crossed hills and dales and pastures. It took us along leafy lanes where dappled light played on the cracked tarmac beneath our wheels, through villages of warm honey-coloured stone dwellings, on past quaint churches and inviting taverns. We swapped bikes numerous times, and we were both surprised how the BMW seemed to have stood the test of time and aged so well, only to be reminded by the Enfield's youthful demeanour and athletic stride of the Bavarian bike's late middle-aged maturity. What we were experiencing was, of course, the subtle improvements of a 30-year evolutionary process. An evolution that suffered a hiatus as powerful, obese and gargantuanly expensive machines became considered de rigueur for motorcycle adventure. Thankfully, now though, Royal Enfield and their peers are bringing overlanding evolution back on track by reintroducing F650 type DNA.
So we've had a great afternoon. We've been riding around in the Cotswolds. This is my old mate, Mr. Harding. Hello. And I've had a bit of a mess up with the microphone, so we've just got one microphone. So Mr. Harding and I, we've been riding together 45 years, and we've got a 30-year-old BMW F650 and Royal Enfield's 450 Himalayan single-cylinder four-stroke venture bike. So there's 30 years between these two bikes. There's 200cc difference. Other than that, pretty darn similar, really.
They are, on paper at least, very similar.
And I found when I got on this, having had a couple of weeks not riding that, and I got on this, I noticed a lot of similarities. But now we've been riding around, and having jumped from this to that, wow.
It's quite a lot of difference.
I mean, this BMW, comfort-wise, it's very much...
Oh, it's brilliant comfort.
It's like, remember this song, Grandma's Feather Bed?
Yes, it's a bit like that.
You sink into it, the suspension sinks down and the seat sinks and you're enveloped in comfort.
And you sit in the bike rather than on the...
I mean, handling-wise...
I mean, that doesn't handle bad considering what it is. This is probably one of the best handling bikes either of us have ever ridden.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's very, very good.
This goes around the corners fine, but maybe more like a barge compared to a speedboat.
Yes.
Perhaps.
The seat of our pants suggested the BMW had decidedly more low-down oomph than the Himi. Discussing this led to a decidedly unscientific and somewhat juvenile roll-on comparison test from around 50 kilometres an hour. Alas, in the excitement of this adrenaline-fueled escapade, we forgot to switch the camera on, so you'll have to take my word for the results. On our first run, with both bikes in 4th gear, the Bavarian machine triumphed. But when the same experiment was repeated with both bikes in 3rd gear, we were somewhat astonished when the higher revving Hemi surged into the lead. The unscientific result was that whilst both bikes share similar performance, we reckon that overtaking with a passenger, the BMW's 57 Newton meters of torque, unsurprisingly, is a lazy advantage over the Indian bike's 40 Newton meters of torque. But give them both the berries, and the Hemi will hold its own. And of course, with 30 years of development, the Hemi manages another 10 kilometres to every litre of petrol burn, which I think undoubtedly must be quite an advantage when you're going on a long adventure.
Style-wise, I quite like the BMW, but good lord, looking at them side by side, that Enfield is, well, it is in a different century. With the Enfield, the brief would have been, we're going to make an adventure bike. The BMW, that concept of adventure bike, as we know it now, didn't really exist. So, do you ever refer to it as the Funduro?
No.
No. That's what the BMW was labelled. It's the F650 Funduro. Really, they had more city bike in mind with the BMW than adventure. Yeah, the Enfield, it's got all those nods towards what it's designed for, i.e. going on adventures with the longer suspension, the 21-inch front wheel. I mean, I found when I went on my long journey, the thing that I felt let the F650 down a bit was the suspension when we were on bad roads or dirt roads. Whereas the suspension on that Himalayan,
Oh, it's brilliant.
cheers, Mr. Harding.
Cheers.
Been a splendid couple of days.
It has.
So, having sort of swapped backwards and forwards between the two bikes,
Mm-hmm.
have you any thoughts?
I'd say number one on the F650 would be the engine. It's tow character. And I like the low down pull. Whatever RPM you're at, open the throttle, it goes. Having said that, my first choice for the Himalayan would also be the engine, but for different reasons. It's a more modern engine. It's just smoother. Number two, I would have said on the F650 would be the seat, like an arm.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't sit on it; you sort of you sink into it.
And I don't know why they can't make motorcycles like that anymore. Having said that, there's nothing wrong with the Himalayan seat, but
So to me, the thing that really jumps out at me first when I get from the F650 onto the Himalayan is how, this is really surprising, how tall the Himalayan feels.
How tall it is compared to that F650. The F650 really is low.
Even on the lowest seat height.
It certainly feels newer. I mean, it's 30 years newer design. It's funny because you actually feel the BMW feels smaller and lighter.
Yeah.
I feel that the Himalayan feels.
Well, that's usually only because I've just wrenched it off the side stand, which with the Himalayan's case, it's quite Herculean task.
Yes, because the Himalayan side stand thing where it leads right over it. If you've got shorter legs, that's a little bit of a struggle to get it up. Right, so here's the big question then. So that BMW, I rode it from England to ultimately to Kuala Lumpur.
Mm-hmm.
If we were going to go now to Thailand, ride back to Thailand with those two bikes, which would you choose?
Oh, the Himalayan.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So the comfort of the BMW is not winning you over.
It would be, if you're going to do a long journey, I'd be slightly concerned about the reliability of a 25-year-old bike that I use.
with big hammers.
Yes. Especially as I'm not the most experienced mechanic in the world.
But if they were both brand new?
If you're both brand new, Himalayan. I just think the Himalayan, I like the riding position on it. I think a bit better. And even though the BMW's got ever such company seats,
There's nothing wrong.
there's
with
nothing
Himalayans.
wrong with the Himalayan, and it's very well set out. You know, it all feels natural.
I mean, one of the advantages the F650's got over the BMW, massive advantage, is the suspension.
Yeah,
I found
that is very true.
Yeah, and it's particularly so when we did the long journey on the BMW, there were some countries where we would just be on dirt roads because that was the roads. So, for example, Laos back then, nearly all dirt roads, and a lot of it was corrugated, and the suspension on that BMW it wasn't up to the job. No. Whereas the Himalayan suspension, it's great. So that's one of the strengths. And reliability, really, that's the other thing. Let us know in the comments, what's more reliable? A 30-year-old German... Actually, the BMW F650, the original one, It was made in Italy. I didn't know that when I bought it. I panicked when I found out. No! I bought an Italian motorbike to go around the world. Sorry if you're Italian, but let's face it.
Started in Germany and engineered in Italy is probably the wrong way round.
Yeah, if you've ever got anything long way round, that's it. And then, of course, the engine is Rotax, which is Austrian. BMW design, but made by Rotax in Austria, and KTM's are Austrian. And if you're looking for a recipe for lack of reliability, Italian and Austrian. Sorry, Austrians, but it did prove to be a reliable bike. But the Himalayan, I mean, it's unproven at the moment. It is, but there's very few bad reports about the Himalayan's reliability.
What's yours done now? Your Himalayan?
Mine's done 8,000 kilometres, and nothing, no problems at all. So, well, that's been so it's been an interesting experience. I suppose the next time we're going to ride together, be in Thailand.
It will. I think it's much more likely to be in Thailand than in England. Sounds good. I'll drink to that.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. And,
Cheers.
see you in Thailand.
Indeed.